Jessica Le Mazurier in the newsroom. It's indeed time for the France 24 debate with a case that has sparked outrage and demonstrations both in Tunis and in Paris. An alleged rape victim found herself in court this Tuesday in the defendant's box. 2 Tunisian police officers have been charged with rape after they pulled the woman over with her fiancé in their car last month in a suburb of Tunis. Now, the public prosecutor wants the couple charged with public indecency. Why are authorities so keen to enforce a law that's long been on the books, but perhaps harks back to a bygone era? It's all happening in the nation that sparked the Arab Spring, where an Islamist-led government is overseeing the drafting of a new constitution. The case is Tunisian, but it spawns broader questions about the stigmatization of rape and whether the Arab Spring will ultimately advance or set back the cause of women. Today, in the France 24 debate, we're looking at the case of the rape victim who now stands accused. And with us to talk about it, Géry Hedley-Peunier, president of Think Ahead for Tunisia. Welcome back to the France 24 debate. Welcome as well to political activist Taoufik Matlouti. Thank you for being with us. Just back from Tunis, National Public Radio's Eleanor Beardsley, and also with us, Bernice Dubois of the European Women's Lobby. From Cairo, we're pleased to be joined by Egyptian activist Shaima El-Aimi. Thank you for being with us. The France 24 debate, where you can always weigh in on the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter. You can find us at François F24. Now, after a 2-hour hearing in court this Tuesday, the alleged rape victim, her lawyer is confident that she will be cleared of indecency charges. No word yet from the magistrate. Here's her account of what happened.
صدموا علينا حاكم كل واحد مشينا من الباب هبطوا خطيبي حطوا الليمونات وهبطوني انا حطوني في كرهبة الحاكم وصارت نقاشات بيناتهم غادي وكل شيء وقال لي شنو تنجم تعطينا الاخر قعدوا يدوروا في البلاصه هذيك الخاليه فيها كلاب واحد قعدوا يدوروا غادي بعد بدلوا بالبلايص اللي كان يسوق طلع بحذايا من تالي وطلع الاخر من قدام كمل الثاني صفع فيا الحكايه حكيت ساعه وربع دامت معناها هما يدوروا فيا في البلايص هذيك ويصفعوا فيا بعد في الاخر وصلنا في بلاصه بحذا مكتب ومعمل لقيت كرهبتي واقفه غادي بحذاها العاون الثالث هو وحده واقف بحذا الكرهبه نتاعي وقت اللي انا شديني في الكرهبه عندهم انتوما هبطوني من كرهبتي جبت خطيبي على جنب قاعد يعمل له باش نلفقوا لكم تهمه في سناء وباش نهزوكم وتشدوا عامين حبس فيها فهمت معناها قالوا واش تنجم تعطينا زاد هو هكا قالوا تفاهموا بين بعضهم قالوا 300,000 معناها.
Géry Hedley-Peunier, are you surprised by the turn of events here?
So sad, really. Actually, her case is Mariam's case is the case of Tunisia. We can see it from a humanitarian or a human right point of view, which is the moral and physical violation of a woman, and also the case of Tunisia, because it touches the governance issue. Because here we find the policemen, 2 policemen who raped her, and they represent the state and they represent the government. And at the same time, we find the 2 key ministries are supporting and tacitly or whatever the perpetrator of this crime.
What sort of turned this from a case that was squarely fixed on the policeman into one that started to turn on her was an Interior Ministry spokesman who said, quote, "We found her in an immoral position."
Yeah, that's the problem. That's actually what turned the case from a human rights point of view to a public opinion point of view, because the Interior Ministry normally should be separated. How do you say that? Should be independent from any political parties' beliefs. But actually, their vision of turning, okay, she's a woman. They turned her from the victim to an accused. That's actually shows the vision and the reflection of another party who's in power. Yeah.
There's been comments, just one of them we can read for you from the France 24 Debate Facebook page. Giovanni says, where is the public interest in prosecuting a woman for indecency when it is clear that the accusation of the police was aimed at discrediting the first accusation? Taoufik Matloutli, why is the public prosecutor trying to mount a case against her?
I think that they have a problem managing this case, because before the Arab Spring, these cases were really numerous and no one speak about, no one talk about, and a lot of police in the old regime, which are the same police, were accused but never pursued for these kind of crimes. What's new today in Tunisia that we talk about? What's new today in Tunisia that the government and the politicians have to manage these issues, and they don't know how to manage that. I think it's a big error and a big mistake, a political mistake, to accuse this lady and her fiancé of indecency in the street. I think even, I'm sorry to use a bad word, even a hooker have the right to not be raped. This is unacceptable, inadmissible, and no one can justify even if she was naked in the street. This doesn't give the right to the policeman to rape her or to anyone else.
Eleanor Beardsley, you're just back from Tunis. You were there just as late as this last Saturday. What are people telling you?
Well, lately, I was there for the revolution, and everyone was sort of saying the same thing, going in the same directions, freedom and democracy. But now women are really scared. A lot of women I talk to, because they feel that this, there's two reasons. First of all, these very religious, Salafists, extremists, want women to cover up, and they're coming out of the woodwork now because they were discriminated against Ben Ali. They were imprisoned. They couldn't walk the streets. And now a lot of women talk about being harassed if they're not wearing the veil. Tunisian women, you have to understand, are very modern. They had the right to abortion before American women did. There's the civil code since 1956 that gives them basic civil equality with men. So they're used to equality, at least on paper. Another thing, this frightens women because this is beyond the pale. I mean, this is way beyond telling someone to put on the veil. But this also shows what women are also scared of. They feel like Ennahda, the mainstream Islamist government, is sort of letting the Salafists run the show, and it actually has a hidden agenda to Islamicize the society and make it more conservative and take away women's rights. There's talk about them replacing in the Constitution the word equality with complementarity. So not only do women feel harassed by this far-right wing...
They pushed back on that point after there were demonstrations.
They pushed back, but it's not a done deal yet.
It's still a case.
Yeah, it's still a case. The Constitution is not written, and we don't know what it's going to be. But so women are scared of these far-right Muslims, but now they're scared of the so-called moderate government. Are they in cahoots with them, all to take away their rights? And this case just, shows it perfectly.
Shaima El Aimi, has this story made news in Cairo?
This story has made news in Cairo. Within the circle of my own friends, it's being much talked about. But like one of your guests said, this story is very upsetting because it brings out to everyone the fact, at least for women in this country, and I'm sure in other Arab countries, the fact that women are always going to be accused, no matter, even if they are victims, they will always be accused. People will find excuses to transgress against them. There will be an excuse to be used against a woman. So, and of course, it's also upsetting because it brings out the fact that we also are having our constitution written at the moment. And the equality between men and women, and equality in general, but especially between men and women, this is one of the issues that's being highlighted. If I will paraphrase George Orwell, and from Animal Farm, all Egyptians are equal, but some Egyptians are a bit more equal than others. In this case, men will be a bit more equal than women.
The Tunisian Prime Minister, Hamadi Jebali, who's also, by the way, Secretary General of the ruling Islamist Ennahda party, denouncing the rape categorically. However, the statement he made to a Belgian newspaper, Le Soir, shies away from denouncing fully the accusations against her. He wrote, He said, "What the police did is unforgivable. There's no justification for this barbarous act which goes against our moral values. There was perhaps, according to judicial authorities, a case of indecency, but what's essential in this affair is the unacceptable violation of a woman's dignity." For you, Bernice Dubois, does that statement go far enough? Too far?
No, well, may I just say to begin with that although it's good to hear the Prime Minister coming out with something like that, he should have remained silent. The rule of law does not allow a head of state to interfere in a judicial inquiry. It was not his, he should not yet have spoken. That's the way I was brought up.
Because the police
to
there are
understand
presumed
the rule of
guilty? Is
law.
that why?
No, just because there's a trial on, and a political figure should not interfere with that in his country. Another country's government might have said, "We are shocked or scandalized or whatever you like at this happening." But the Tunisian government should have remained silent.
Taufik Makhlouti?
Yeah, I think he should remain silent because there is also something else in a legal point of view, the presumption of innocence. Even if they are convinced by the instruction and by prosecutor that they are guilty, but it's only after the decision of justice and magistrate that we can say these two policemen are guilty. And the political authority should have stepped back, waiting for this decision before giving any statement. But I would like, if you allow me to say something, I find our subject I have a bit of problem with this subject because I found like a shortcut between this case, unacceptable and condemnable, of the rape and the women rights in the Arab countries, and especially in Tunisia and Arab countries after the spring. I don't really clearly see what is the link between this and that. Last week in France, 3 policemen were recognized not guilty of rape for the same case. And this did not make the titles of newspapers. And I'm really surprised when I hear Jalila saying that the case of this lady, Mariam, is the case of Tunisia. And I wish to ask her, do you think that Tunisia is raped?
Yes, of
By
course.
who?
Of course.
By who?
By the
By
government in
elections?
place. Yeah. Actually, the slogans that were raised in the revolution, they were first, there was freedom, dignity,
Yes.
and justice. Okay?
We agree.
The dignity of this woman, she was raped in a barbarian
Is
way.
she the
and
first woman in Tunisia?
No, she's not.
Yeah.
It's a series of many cases in Tunisia, and violence is all over Tunisia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No
And this is-
security, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So violence is everywhere, and this woman is a case in point. Okay.
Yes.
The second thing is freedom. Okay. This woman was embezzled and she was harassed with her fiancé in
The
order
case
to
is
withdraw.
not discussable, Jalila. The case is not
yeah, to
discussable. We
withdraw.
condemn
So-
the case. I personally don't
Yeah.
accept any case of rape.
That's the case of
But
Tunisia
what is
for
the
those
link
3
of
logos.
Tunisia country? Is it raped by whom? By the political power that came by election?
Exactly. There
Yeah.
are people actually.
Then you condemn the democracy which brought
I will
these
say
people.
no. I will say that everybody knows the pictures. He sees the pictures of people who went out in the street on the 14th of January.
Yes.
Those people, we didn't see them before. Okay, they came from abroad, took power. Okay, welcome. Help us get the institutions of this state run. I mean, run
They
this
did
state.
not come from
But-
abroad. They're Tunisian.
Yeah, I know, but
Eleanor
most of
Beardsley-
them.
Eleanor Beardsley, you were making the point that this is, I guess, a part of a steady drip of events that
Exactly.
are making women worried.
I mean, women's rights is one thing, but freedom of expression, artists are worried, journalists are worried. Journalists have been put in jail for blasphemy. And one thing many people are saying is there is no separation of the government and justice. There wasn't under Ben Ali, and there's not yet under this government. These are democratic tools that could take years to evolve. So people see in the justice the government's work. This one artist, her works were destroyed by Salafists, and later she was called before them and denounced in front of the Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Culture. And she's waiting to see if they're going to bring a trial, put her on trial for attempts at, blasphemy because of her artwork. She said, so the government is the judiciary. So people feel that it's not separate yet. And so there's a democracy being created there, and there are so many things at stake. And
First step is the
the first
institutionalization of Tunisia, to get institutions independent from the political parties. We didn't see that. Any step for that, we didn't see it. The problem is governance. It's not the case of rape. It can happen in France and everywhere. But how to deal with this problem, how to instrumentalize it, that's the problem.
It's actually instrumentalized, but not with by the government.
You began to say something about, but it was the result of free elections. May I just remind you that Hitler was elected freely, but that does not mean democracy.
I can't allow you to, in my point of view, to compare, the government
May I finish my
legitimately
statement?
elected in Tunisia with Hitler.
May I finish my sentence?
Please, madam.
Thank you. I did not compare. I said one cannot assume that free elections in themselves define democracy. They do not. That is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not
Then
comparing.
the system is not good.
We're talking about institutions.
Then it's not democracy. That's it.
We're talking about institutions. In Abu Dhabi Daily, The National, Faisal Al-Yafi penned a column entitled "A Rape Case in Tunisia Puts the Legal System on Trial." Now, in it, he says, after so many decades of authoritarian rule, when a culture of state impunity existed and the use of security forces to intimidate opponents was routine, many Tunisians hoped the revolution signaled the beginning of a new order. The courts should reflect that, and perhaps the judge should consider that in a post-Ben Ali era, crimes committed by agents of the state are more detrimental to society than any alleged indecency. This article of law, public indecency, it wasn't created since the revolution. It's an old statute that was on the books.
Yes.
And it's always a bit strange, is it not, Jaira Hegli-Penier, defining what public indecency is, obviously?
I cannot define it. I cannot have a picture of it. You know, we can use it whenever we want. I mean, as a preemptive or preventive action, as the two policemen done, in order to minimize the the allegation against them. They used that. So actually, as a citizen, I'm not expert in law. I cannot understand it. I cannot define it.
One quick, before we go to the break, Shaima El-Aimi, do you make the link between this case and what's going on post-Arab uprisings?
We should be a bit honest about one thing, that women in the Arab countries, in Egypt, I will speak about Egypt, okay? We have a sexual harassment problem. There is no denying that. And the problem has continued on post-revolution, post-Arab Spring, if you will. And in fact, it's getting worse. I don't think it has anything to do with the revolutions themselves. It is a societal problem more than it being something, more than it being a political problem in essence.
All right, nothing to do with the revolution itself. We're going to pick up on that point when we come back. Stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.